Founders of the Future with Joe Mardell. Welcome to Founders of the Future, the podcast making emerging technologies accessible to anyone. My name is Joe Mardell, and in this podcast I interview founders of technology startups who are pioneering our future using emerging technologies to create new industries, business models and opportunities. Hi everyone, joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about lots of stuff to do with entrepreneurship, personal development, startups, LinkedIn, personal branding, content creation, and differences between UK and Indian culture. So yeah, we're going to dive really deep into some of these topics and give you lots of useful insights that will help you along your journeys. So first we'll be discussing entrepreneurship. So, stuff like why should you start a business over a 9-to-5 job, and just different tips and tricks for anyone who might be considering that. So, Kavish, I know you've already started a company or two, so you've got a bit more experience than me about this. But personally, I've actually interviewed 10 different entrepreneurs now on my podcast, so I'll be sharing a lot of insights from those people. So I think we'll start off by just talking about what are the benefits of starting a company? Why might someone want to start a business rather than just getting a traditional 9-to-5 job?
Actually, I am not into entrepreneurship. Like I've started few things, but like I haven't experienced job, so I can't say which one is better. But yeah, I have done internship few times, so I know. In internship, you learn a lot of things. But if you are into entrepreneurship and if you are starting your own thing, so you have to learn all of this on your own. So it's a fair journey. So I guess you also started something, though I chatbot summit, right? So how is your journey been there? So at chatbot summit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an entrepreneur at this stage because it's just kind of like a little event. It's not really a huge.
The same is the case with me, bro. Even I am not the one, like I don't have any company or sort of thing, but yeah, I have started something that might grow. So you can't say that it's something like a startup, but yeah, I have started something and I'm taking this forward slowly and slowly.
Yeah, and we're both very passionate about this area anyway. But yeah, from what I've learned doing the business event is I've just kind of been networking with various different people, talking to different speakers from different parts of the world to try and get them on board to speak at our event. And I've learned a few things by doing this. So it's been a really interesting process, and it's definitely something that I'll try and do again in the future. That's for sure. But yeah, just talking about the benefits of starting a company, I think it's one of the main reasons why people go into entrepreneurship is because they want a bit more freedom and a bit more control over their lives. And often, if you go into a 9-to-5 job, you might end up working for someone who you don't particularly like, or you might just end up becoming quite miserable with the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. So that would be one main reason.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, we could talk about the sorts of things that you might need to do to prepare for starting a company. So it's a huge step.
I guess we both are not at the stage of like to tell. Okay, so from my experience, first of all, you need a great team. Like I started doing something without a team, but I guess if you are a part of team, then it becomes easy for you to manage all the things. Like Gaurang and me are also, like Gaurang is there, so Gaurang and me are also trying a thing into sales. So yeah, if you have a team, and then it just makes your life easy. Like everybody can't do, like a single person can't do every task, so you just need a team. So above all, you need a team first. Then you need to have a great idea, and idea is something that should be implemented correctly. So I guess these two things are essential. First is a great team, and the second is a good idea.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And if you're going to start a company, it's often a good idea to
Mm,
find a co-founder or maybe even two co-founders who are going to like stay with you on that journey, because it can. I've heard that from my guests and other entrepreneurs that it can get a bit lonely on that journey because you're just spending most of your hours of the day kind of working on your business. So it's really, really beneficial if you've got people along that journey with you, and also you can
yeah.
complement with talents. So in the tech industry, a lot of the
Mm,
time you have one co-founder which is very business orientated. Maybe they come from a sales background, and then the other co-founder might be a very technical person, so it might be an engineer, a software programmer, something like that. And those two people when come together, they can create something really,
mm.
really interesting.
So you are from tech background, right? So
Well, I'm a,
let me just tell you, everybody, Joy is also a professional cook in London. He does this as his part-time job, and he's doing it. He's doing this since he was 15 years old. So I just wanted to ask. I know we are moving a bit out of topic, but yeah, I just want to cover this. Like, what is like something like when you said you were 15 when you started your first job, but if we see this in India, very few people start internship at 15. So is this the average age in UK, that at 15 people start internships and all?
well, there's a few things I need to just correct there because it wasn't all 100% accurate. But no, I appreciate you mentioning those things because it is kind of to do with the culture of the UK.
Mm,
I started my first job when I was 15. It might have been late 14, but somewhere around that time. But I wasn't
okay.
actually working as a cook or a chef at that point. I
Mm,
was just, it was like a couple of hours a week just delivering
mm,
newspapers around my local area. So just handing around newspapers to all the houses, basically. So
okay.
just a really basic, like very low wage kind of job to just get me a bit of pocket money.
Okay, so is it common in England that every young sir, every teenager does this, or is it rarely? Because
No,
in India, I
uh,
rarely see someone at the age of 18 also doing something. So, yeah,
no, I'd say it's pretty common. It's
okay.
not like every single person, but it's kind of like if you're the sort of person that likes to be active and likes to kind of get out there and earn a bit of money,
Mm,
then a lot of people do make that decision. And I was
okay.
personally like, I was very eager to try and earn money as early as I could. So as soon as I was of the age where you can, where someone will employ you, then I was straight up there, trying to get a
Mm,
job. And yeah, and I've been working since that first job really. I
mm,
started working as a chef when I was 17, and I've had that kind of job. I worked full time for a bit, and then I moved down to part time when I carried on with my education. So at the
okay.
moment, I'm kind of semi full time, and then I also have all these other projects on the side. And
Okay,
also
so,
living in London either. I'm kind of like on the south coast of England.
mm, so like how much money did you make by doing those part-time jobs?
Not much. When I was 15, the minimum wage for a 15-year-old is a lot lower than an adult. So
Mm,
I
what's it?
can't exactly remember. It would have been like £3
Okay,
something.
per hour, right?
Yeah, per hour. Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. If you just see this in India, £3 equals somewhat like 300 rupees per hour. And I guess if that's pretty good as compared to India. So,
But
hmm,
as I said, I was only doing I think 2 hours a week, so it's like
oh,
six
just 2 hours.
a week, and
Okay.
me, about £24 a month. and
mm,
that would be enough to like have like one trip to like go to the shops or like go out for like just go to the beach for the day or something like that. So
okay.
it wouldn't not like serious money in the UK because all of the prices of stuff is a lot higher as well. So it would cost me like £5 just to get the bus to go
Oh,
somewhere. So
okay.
you see what I mean?
So yeah, living is not that. Yeah, it's quite expensive in UK, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, let's just move forward with the podcast. So you had a bunch of questions, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we talked a bit about entrepreneurship, but also I was thinking about a lot of people struggle with deciding what kind of company to start and whether it's a good time, and actually they find it difficult to discuss, like to decide what industry niche to go down. So,
Mm.
what advice would you have for someone about deciding what niche or kind of what kind of company would be good for them?
Okay, so I was just recently having this discussion with my mentor. So I just asked him the same question, like I want to do a startup, and you just tell me the industry which is going to boom in the coming few years. So we are talking about India now. So in India, he told me that in India, agri-tech industry would be growing. Agri-tech equals merging agriculture with technology. As if you ask me about the scene of like 10 to 12 back, he would suggest that IT sector would be growing, but now agri-tech would be growing. So I guess he's also into shares, and also he knows pretty well than me. So I'm just gonna tell his opinion only, that agri-tech and one more I can't remember. One was agri-tech, and yeah, and if you want to do a startup, you just have to solve a problem, just talk to different people, and you just have to solve the problem. So yeah, any startup idea, you can just start on any startup idea. Like recently I am working on a startup idea which is sending invitation cards, like wedding invitation cards. So I've already talked to around 20 people about this idea. So yeah, idea can be anything, but it just need to solve the problems. So
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely about spotting trends that are happening and trying to work out what's going to be big in the next few years, because that's the way that
mm,
you can line up for the opportunities. But I think also a big part that plays, a big part to think about is just making sure that you're actually passionate about something when you
mm,
start a business. So you don't want to just start a company because you think it's going to make you money if it's just going to kind of it's going to get on your nerves and stuff because you don't enjoy it.
yeah.
I would advise anyone, if they're starting a company, make sure that that industry is something that you genuinely care about, because then you're going to put your heart and soul into your work, and it'll really come through in your products and your service. The clients and your customers, they'll be able to tell whether you actually care about that industry. So, make sure that you're doing something that you genuinely care about.
Yeah, starting a startup is just like starting a blog. You have to start that in the niche you are interested in. Like a year back, I started a blog, Those Two Travelers. So I'm just I'm into traveling. I love traveling. I love to write about it. And we are managing its LinkedIn page, its Instagram page. So currently we are not traveling, but yeah, we are just trying to gather the audience. Then we'll be doing influencer marketing over it. We will be reaching out to resorts and all for this. So yeah, I guess this is going to be great.
Yeah,
So
that's a really good example. Travel is obviously something that you're very
mm,
passionate about. And personally, I love
yeah,
traveling as well. One day I would absolutely love to come to India. It's probably my number one
mm,
place in the world that I really want to go to. So I'm hoping that in the next few years I'll be able to make a trip there. I just need to kind of get the money and stuff like that. Another thing that I was planning to talk about was kind of like personal branding and using social media like LinkedIn to really elevate your own personal brand and network to meet new people,
mm.
which is exactly what we're doing now, really. So I can see a lot of you already have an interest in this, but just coming at it from an entrepreneurship perspective, Kavish,
Okay, so
have you thought about how personal branding could be useful for
mm,
entrepreneurs? You found it useful for you as a blog writer or anything like that?
mm. So I guess I don't know much about this, but Gaurang is here. So Gaurang is into personal branding and marketing and all. So if you don't mind, let's just take him into the podcast for a few minutes.
That'd
Gaurang,
be great.
are you ready to come on the podcast? If you are, then just say like Joy has some
I'm
questions
just
about.
here. I'm just here.
So yeah, Gaurang, can you just share like Joy has a question about personal branding for entrepreneurship. So can you just tell what is the answer for this? Like I know you have the best answer about this. So Gaurang, up to you.
Yeah. So personal branding is much important nowadays because rather than building your own companies, right? Building a personal brand will help you, probably gain more trust, right? It's all about you need to utilize all the platforms in the right way, right? Why personal branding is important? Because people will come and connect to you directly, right? So let's say if I'm building my personal brand, right? So even I met Kavish via LinkedIn, right? So when I started my LinkedIn activities last 3 4 months ago, right? We got connected, right? So that's how. So what I have been doing is I have been building my own personal brand on LinkedIn, right? Telling people, giving knowledge about what about the industry or the niche I'm working on, right? So that is something which is there. It's all about, so I believe in a strategy of Gary Vee telling, it says that, jab, 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 right hook. That means,
Hmm.
you give, and then ask, right?
Yeah.
So that is personal branding is all about that. You need to keep on giving to people what they want or, what they require, right? And then eventually, it would turn up like, you can just ask them and they would never say no, right? So
Yeah.
that is something I have been doing it, right? Probably for last 4 years I've been doing that. Like today, I get a lot of leads in terms of because I was a core. My whole main core thing was to do networking and engage with people or probably like-minded people and all. And so whatever sales I'm getting right now, whatever business I'm getting, it's all because of the network I have built, right? It can be via social media, it can be via online, it can be via offline, right? So the people know me as a person, like people know Gaurang as a person, because I have showcased myself in that way that they can connect with me and
Hmm.
they can ask me anything they want, right?
Yeah.
So that is why personal branding is important. People need to know you, right? So that's how. If you see, as like, let's say if we take Apple, when it comes to Apple, we think of only a person who is Steve Jobs, right? So when it comes to Microsoft, it's like Bill Gates, right? So these
Hmm.
people have built their brand, right? So even like let's say Gary Vee, he's one of the biggest personal brand guy in terms of his content and all, right? So initially we know more about Gary Vee because he keeps talking about himself and the work he does, right? Then eventually he has his own company called as VaynerMedia, where not all the time he talks about VaynerMedia, but yeah, there are most of the times he does. So first, what he has done is he has introduced himself, right? Where he has probably built his own personal brand, right? Where people are speaking their content and all these things, right? Then eventually, that's how he promotes his company. That's where this is how it is. I hope it was helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, Gaurang, actually, you just cleared all the things. So, okay, few things to the audience. Like, what does it comes to your mind when you thought of those two travelers? Yeah, can you have an answer to this? Like,
Sorry, can you ask me again?
no, no, I was just asking to everybody out there. So, what just came to
Mm-hmm.
your mind when you think of those two travelers? Like, when I usually tag those two travelers in my Instagram stories on my LinkedIn. So, what
Mm-hmm.
just come to your mind when you think of those two travelers?
So what I think probably I can just tell it. Like, probably I can know more about traveling. What is something new it is coming, or see, traveling is a vast thing, right? Right. So and I keep on digging a lot of traveling. My whole aim is to turn into a digital nomad, right? Probably in a year or two, right? I've been working for that, right? So when I see your post as well, I could relate, and I always keep. I could save. I save that post so that in near future when
Mm.
I'm traveling to that place, or it particular being in India or overseas as well, right? So I can just go to your post and just check out. Okay, so Kavish has given the information over here, right? So I can just grab some. If it's helpful, I'll use it. So that's how I feel majorly about your post.
Okay,
I mean,
so
when I hear you say those two travelers, the first thing that pops into my head is you, Kavish, because I've seen
yeah,
you related with those two travelers on a regular basis, and that's the power of personal branding. And I
yeah,
think it all comes.
absolutely. That's what Gaurang said. Like when you think
Yeah,
of Apple, you got Steve Jobs. So yeah,
exactly.
that's what all this all about.
And it actually comes down to something that's a term in evolutionary psychology, which is called
Hmm.
mere exposure. And it's like back in the day when we used to just live in small tribes, like when we were baby, we were just constantly surrounded by the same faces
Yeah.
all the time.
Um,
So you became very familiar with those faces, and when you saw a face that was unfamiliar, then that's how you know that could be dangerous. So if you see someone's face all the time, or if they are putting out information and you see it on a
mm,
regular basis, just like naturally, biologically, you will become more familiar with them and you'll start to trust that person. And that's why we feel
yeah.
like we're almost friends with certain celebrities who we watch on a regular basis. Like, these big brands like Gary Vee, you feel
Mm,
like you know that person. You've seen their face so many times. And in the modern age, people are very reluctant to do business with someone
yeah.
who they trust. And the best way to build trust with someone is to build
It's
that
through
mere
personal branding. Yeah.
personal branding.
So Joy, one I just invited few people and over the Google documents, and we got one response, one question from Shaurya. So the question is, do culture differences matter in startup growth? And due to different COVID situation in these countries, how will entrepreneur deal with it? So I just wanted to answer this. I will just repeat the question. Do cultural
Yeah.
differences matter in startup growth? And due to different COVID situation in different countries, how will entrepreneurs deal with it? So Shaurya is available now. So Shaurya, if you have anything else in mind, you can ask now. Okay. So Joy, just
Cool.
answer it.
Yeah, thanks for that question. It's a really, really good question. I don't think that differences in culture matter in a negative aspect, but I actually think that cultural differences really add value to a startup, and they will actually help a startup to be more flexible and help with the growth moving into different markets. So if you have a very diverse team of people made up from all kinds of different cultures, this is going to add so much to your creativity and to your brainstorming sessions. People will be able to bring all kinds of different ideas together to form something that's truly unique. And that would not be
Mhm.
possible if everyone in your team was made up of just one culture. So I think culture does play a huge part in startup growth, and it makes a very big positive difference. That would be my
So
opinion.
Joy, actually, we are running out of time. We have just 9 minutes left, so I guess we have to cover this a little fast. So, yeah.
So yeah, the second part of the question was about um, coronavirus, the whole pandemic situation.
Mm.
I think were they asking me for advice about startups moving forward out of this situation? So yeah, having spoken to a bunch of different founders about how they're dealing with this situation on my podcast, a lot of what people are saying is that you have to just communicate regularly with your team members,
Yeah.
stay up to date with the recommended kind of action from your local governments or whatever, and be as flexible as you can. So just that's another reason why communication is key, and that's a really big benefit of being a startup actually, is the fact that you can communicate a lot quicker and you can be a bit more agile. So that's the advantage that you have over bigger companies. As a startup, you can be a lot more agile. You can change the course of direction
Mm.
a lot
I
quicker.
guess,
So if there's a
yeah.
big change, a startup will be able to react and use that advantage.
So Joy, there's just 7 minutes left. So I guess we will schedule one other YouTube live in few
Yeah,
days. So yeah, let's just cover the questions we have, and we'll just end this on a positive note.
sure. Yeah. So is there any other questions from anyone, or just
Okay,
finish
so
off?
if you have any question, you can just drop them up in chat box, and if you don't have, just you can say no. Like we will know like how many people are active. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can just drop them, or else you can say no. So let's just wait. So
Yeah, I think we'll just kind of get on with talking about some of these topics, and if anyone has any questions, we'll just try and cover
okay,
that.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, so another thing I just wanted to talk about is the whole concept of personal development, which is something that I'm really passionate about, and I
okay.
think that it's massively along my journey so far. And I
Mm,
think it's really, really important for entrepreneurs is the whole practice of developing your skills and your kind of your whole personality to just
mm,
end up being the best possible version of yourself. So it's really important for entrepreneurs to just try and set a good example for their teams. So if you're the sort of person that is constantly learning, constantly like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and trying new things, you're going to become a very, very strong, resilient leader, which is going to
mm,
be very, very beneficial for your company.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a quick overview of why personal development is important for entrepreneurs. Have you got anything else to say about that, Kavish?
Yeah, I don't know much about personal branding in the real world, but yeah, on LinkedIn, if you want to build your personal brand or personal,
Sorry, I was
so
talking about personal development, so like personal
okay,
growth
personal
within
development. Okay, okay, okay. So
yeah,
yeah, what I usually do is you have to first look like an entrepreneur. Like you, like people just don't run away from you. So you need to maintain your body. So a decent workout is essential for me. I usually work out 5 days a week. So and meditation is the key, right? So if you are an entrepreneur, you need meditation because you have so much things in your mind. You are dealing with sometimes this stuff, sometimes that stuff. So meditation helps you clear that mind. So I'm recently uh, came across a book, not recently, like I have this book from last 2 year, I guess. So this book is the autobiography of a yogi. This is by Parahamsa Yogananda. So this book, if you are into this, if you want to learn something, like if you want to know the benefits, if you want to know like the what can be achieved through it, so I will recommend everybody to read that book. So I guess,
thanks. Yeah, yeah, make a note of that and put it on my reading list for sure.
yeah. So, buddy, it's just 4 minutes left. So I guess we should wrap it now, and I
Yeah,
will do
yeah,
a YouTube live on your channel someday soon.
sure. Yeah, so just want to say thanks to everyone who did come along, and I hope you've learned something from today. I've really enjoyed it, and it was great to kind of speak to a couple of you, and yeah, so I've really enjoyed this. We'll definitely be doing it again soon, and so if you have learned something and you've enjoyed this call, then please make sure to join us in the live stream.